visible?
Yes, yes, it's very much visible.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there is.
Yeah, we left it here only.
Yeah. Why it is coming two-sided, I don't know.
You have to make single page wala. Some problem is there.
Yeah, just a moment.
So I guess use Control plus L.
Yes, sir, I think.
Yeah, actually this is Mac system, so just a moment.
Okay. Continuous scrolling तो है ही है. Single page पे लाइए ना sir.
Okay.
So,
I think.
And
now it's okay, sir.
Now
yeah, it is.
It's okay now. It's single page.
Yeah, is this fine?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So last time I have discussed the high order scheme for the simple second order equation, that is d2u by dx square is equal to function of x only. This is the simplest form of ordinary second order differential equation, and we have got this scheme: c square h square minus 1, and this is the second central difference operator in the limiting case when we take radial basis. C is approaching to 0. It is basically the second central difference, so it is sx ux naught plus h square by 12 a30 h square plus 12 f naught, and plus some 1 by 12 h4 a31 f1 plus a32 f2 minus c4 h4 u at x naught. Right hand side, the local truncation error is coming out to be order h6. I told you when I started the derivation, I have told you I have multiplied throughout by h square. And I told you why I have multiplied h square. This is just for my convenient in the derivation of the scheme. And why, what kind of convenient that we expect? Because of division by h square in second order derivative and division by h in first derivative. So because our linear combination started with multiple of h square, so now in the last you must have to divide throughout by h square. So when you divide this equation 12 throughout by h square, right hand side is coming out to be order h4, and that is the actual order of the scheme. Order of the scheme is means this is the accuracy that we achieve when we compute on different number of mesh points. Moreover, this equation 12 involves f0, f1, f2, where f1, f0, f1, and f2 involves only u0, u1, and u2. Only these 3 points are involved in the whole equation. That is why we call it compact. So this is what I have written in the language, that we must divide by h squared. So the order of method is order h4. So this is a fourth order method for second order simple equation. Now we extend this method. Extension is quite easy compared to the derivation of the basic scheme. Now we extend this method, this high resolution scheme, to the most general non-linear form. So this is what I have written: fourth order Gauss radial basis function scheme for d2u by dx square, and it is a function of xu du by dx. This is the general non-linear function. So in order to discretize this equation, I already told you, if we use the operator f and operator s directly, we can directly get second order scheme. But I am interested to find high order scheme. The question is, why I am interested to get high order scheme? I told you, because I am willing to achieve result in a less computing time and more accurate result. So for this equation, I already have derived the first derivative approximation at the point x1 that I have denoted it by u1 bar. This is already known to you. Similarly, u2 bar prime is also known to you, derived much earlier. With these two derivation, u1 prime bar and u2 bar prime, I will formulate the functional f at x1, u1 and u1 bar prime, similarly for f2. And I am just going to denote it by the symbol f1 bar and f2 bar. Please note that I am repeatedly telling you u1 stands for u at xl plus h, 1 stands for the point next to xl, and u2 stands for point left to the xl. So this is what u2 is basically uxl minus h, and u1 is uxl plus h. Now this equation 14 and 15 are basically involves with equations. So we can apply the multi-dimensional Taylor series expansion over it. Now, when we apply this, this is the derivation. You can get it directly when you use the approximation what I derived earlier for u1 bar cap and here for u2 bar. So I have derived this calculation up to order h4. It gives you so many terms, but I restrict till those terms which is useful to us, because beyond that it is of no use to us, because that consists of higher order terms. So this f1 bar is coming out, same line f2 bar is coming out to get this. Here, just in the short notation, I have replaced del f by del u bar at x naught by a naught, and a1 stands for derivative of, basically I have written here del a naught by del x. It is basically the functional a naught is basically a function of x ultimately. So you find the partial derivative with respect to x, and then you can evaluate it at x naught. Now, with these two values, I will update. Please note that our equation, the differential equation that I am considering now, involves the derivative. This is the only derivative which is creating problem, and that is why we are depending on approximation. For u, we do not need approximation. U is already there, but du by dx, we have to depend on certain formula. And the one of the formula is already known to you. Limit h goes to 0, u of x plus h minus ux by h. Well and good. Newton has given it, beautiful formula, and we are using it. Fine. But here we have to update this first derivative like this. This is basically the what is available to us till now. We are available with u1, u2, u0, f1 and f2. You may have a question, why not f0? I will calculate f0. So these are the 3-4 things available to us. With the help of available information, we are going to update the derivative. So u1 minus u2 multiplied by k1 into h plus k2 into h, f1 bar minus f2. You may have a question, why you have taken this minus between u1 and u2, and why you have taken minus between f1 and f2. In fact, I am telling you, in order to derive this derivation completely, you have to write here k1 into u1 plus k2 into u2 plus k3 into f1 plus k4 into f2. And then finally, in the last, you will get some 2-3 values are equal, or one of them is equal to negative of other. So that I have written concisely in this approximation. So this is basically a linear combination of available information so far. And this new approximation, updated approximation of first derivative, I have denoted it by u cap prime. Prime, single prime stands for derivative, cap stands for the update at x naught. At x naught means at xl. L will, in the last, L will range from 1 to uppercase L. So with this right hand, I will further expand, and we get, when you put the values of here f1 bar, f2 bar, u1, u2 in the expanded form, you will get this equation, equation 19. I have again calculated the derivation up to order h4. So it hardly comes 3-4 terms in one dimension. Quite easy. In one dimension, it is quite easy. So with this updated derivative, I have defined a new functional that I have denoted by f naught cap equal to f of x0, already known to us, u naught already known to us, and u naught cap, this is what I have calculated in the equation 19. Again, because u cap prime involves this whole expression, you have to again expand it by series expansion. So we get Taylor series gives you this equation number 21. This, in fact, you can directly get if you derive it manually. Right? Now, we are having available with f naught, but with cap. F naught cap, f1 bar, and f2 bar. These three quantities are available to you. I am just taking you back to the scheme that you derived earlier for simple equation. This is the same equation you have derived earlier for the simple equation d2u by dx square equal to f of x. Except here it is f1 bar, there it was f1, here it is f2 bar, there it was f2, and here it is f naught cap, there it was just f naught. So I have used the new value I have got for the function in the base formula, basic formula. Now, when I substituted with this value, I get this right hand side as this. Please look at this right hand side consciously. The most interesting part to the right hand side is I have not got right hand side order h6, what I have got earlier. I have got order h6 along with some other terms. And this other term is a problematic thing that we have to manage. Now, see, here it is h4, and the coefficient of h4 is coming out to be this. Similarly, here also it is h4, coefficient of this. So, if I equate coefficient of this u first derivative and u third derivative 0, then what will happen? From here, this will be 0, so I can find value of k2, and from here I can find value of k1. Listen. Here I have got one equation, another equation, just solve it. I have got some value of k1 and k2. So in the beginning, in this linear combination, this k1 and k2 are free parameters, or you can say this is some unknowns whose values will be determined later in such a way that it gives you high resolution scheme. Or this is something kind of method of undetermined parameter that you have learned in the probably in the 10th class, I remember. So this is something kind of undetermined parameter that we have determined at the later stage, whose value is coming out to be this. So for this value of k1 and k2, if we put it in u prime cap, it gives you fourth order scheme. That is, these two terms are vanishing out. Here these two terms are vanishing. We are left with h6 only. So then it exactly matches the right hand side order, exactly matches order h6. That's all. That's all. This is what I have written. With this value of K1 and K2, the scheme approximates second order non-linear. I should say this is mildly non-linear equation d to u by dx square f of x u du by dx. Now, there are two things. There are two types of boundary condition we discuss. Number one, Dirichlet type. Number two, Newman type. And the third one is the mixed derivative, Robin condition. So just for the understanding point of view, I have taken Dirichlet type boundary condition. So the method what we have derived, if we use Dirichlet type boundary condition, we straight away get a tridiagonal matrix system if F is linear. If F is non-linear, in that case, we get tridiagonal Jacobian, because in non-linear case, you have to use this Jacobian kind of things. Now, I will use this method for, yes. Okay, so now this is the main not main, so the application. I will apply the method what I have derived for the linear equation and for the non-linear equation, so that you can have thorough understanding of the application point of view. Nothing, I have a linear equation. The most general form of linear equation is d2u by dx square function of x du by dx plus bx ux plus gx, and how our x is ranging from x naught to xn plus 1. Please note that before discussing this theory, I have defined that our points are uniformly spaced, and I have used h everywhere, h as fixed step size, but exactly on the same line you can also derive if the spatial points are not at an equal distance. So here the boundary condition is giving u at x naught is given as uppercase A, and u at last point is xn plus 1 is coming out to be B. Now just use what I have derived. Earlier I have derived f bar equal to function of x u1 comma u1 bar. So what is here? Here f is basically this one. So put it here a1 in place of du by dx. You put u bar prime, b for b1, ux for u1, and gx for g1, where of course it is understood that a1 is value of ax at x1 and x1 is xl plus h. Now similarly f2 is written like this, and put the value of k1 and k2, which is minus 3ca square by 10 minus 1 by 20 in this equation, and you have this scheme already known to us. Oh, sorry, here I have by mistake I have written here G1. Please make a correction. Here it is F1 bar. Here it is F1 bar. Here it is F2 bar. Page 28. Yeah, so please make a correction. Here it is F1 bar, and this is F1 bar, and this is F2 bar. Here it is F naught cap as it is. This is correct. So this is the scheme for second order linear equation. How simple formula, just 4 lines formula you have got with a fourth order scheme in a radial basis network. Now, this I have denoted this this whole expression by t. Here basically in equation 24, right hand side is coming out to be order h6. All right. Now, for solving this order h6, I am going to neglect it. So when you neglect, you have got an approximate scheme. When you do not neglect, That is basically the exact scheme. Sorry. So I have neglected means I have removed certain terms, and because of that certain removal of terms, we are giving approximate solution, and we do not have any other way. Now, please note that here F1 bar, F2 bar, and F naught cap all consist of linear terms. Linear, nowhere power of u is coming out to be. So this T is basically a linear equation. Linear in u1, u2, u0. So when it is linear in all these things, we can write T as like this: sub L u2 plus DGL u0 plus sup L u1 minus RHL. Sub L stands for sub-diagonal. That is, DG stands for main diagonal, principal diagonal. And sup L means super diagonal, means above the main diagonal. And this is RHL. Whatever left, I will write in the RHL. This is one quantity. RH is one RHS. So I have not written S just to abridge it. So I can write T in this way. When we write this T in this way means what? I am again repeating, which is what is this U0? U0 is U at X naught, means U at XL. U at X1, which is denoted by U1, is U of XL plus 1, which is UL plus 1. And what is this sub L? Sub L is nothing but the coefficient of U2 in T. If you use some computer algebra, then it can be directly calculated. The coefficient of U2 in T can be directly calculated. Similarly, DG stands for coefficient of U0 in T, and sup consists of coefficient of U1 in T. So you have calculated these three quantities. Now, whatever left, that you put in RH. So RH, I have written, I have calculated these three things, and minus T side. So this equation is basically equation 25 is written in this way. In this way, left side uppercase T I have just written for telling you what is this. The name of this equation is T. Basically, it is equal to 0 because it is equal to order H6, and I have neglected. Neglected means I have taken it 0. Why I have taken it 0? Because in the limiting case, H raised to the power 6 is very, very small compared to H square and H4. So this equation 25 is coming out to be this for different value of L. L is going from 1 to uppercase L. Here, before starting, I have taken the node x0 to xn plus 1. I hope it is understood. Uppercase L and that n is one and the same thing. Now, when you take L is equal to 1, what will happen? You will get one equation. When you take L equal to 2, you will get another equation. Likewise, you will get uppercase L number of equation. So you will get this one basically. Please note that here when you take L equal to 1, here when you take L equal to 1, it is coming out to be sub 1 into U0. U0 is already known to you. The first value, because boundary, Dirichlet boundary values are known to us. So U0 and U end point. End point is U at uppercase L plus 1. These two values are known to you. Once it is known, I can take it to the right hand side. I will keep left hand side only those points, those things which is not known to us. So putting it in a proper matrix form, here the vector U1, U2, UL and this is a matrix, tridiagonal matrix, and right hand side I will put those things which is known to us. So R2 up to RHL minus 1 are everything is exactly same. The first one is like the first one is with subtracted with sub 1 into U0, and the last one with sup L into UL plus 1. Now there are so many ready-made tools available nowadays in Python that you can directly solve it. Now just incorporate, this is what I have written, U naught is A and UL plus 1 equal to B. I have incorporated and solve it. And the detailed derivation of what is this sub L is this, DZL is this, and sup L is this, RHL is this. This is the complete derivation of linear equation. Actually, in this slide, I will discuss nonlinear equation later on. Let me show you the graph of radial basis function. How does it look like? When you take x equal to 0, this psi x is basically your Rx. It is e raised to the power minus c square x minus x naught square. I told you in the beginning that you take x naught of your choice. I don't mind, but it should be inside the domain. So for different values of c equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, c is not equal to 0. C is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. I just took randomly some 3, 4 integer value. So it looked like this. If you change x naught from 0 to some other value, for example, I am taking x equal to minus 1, the concentration is here at minus 1. You see here it is minus 1. This is towards minus 1. Similarly, when x equal to 1, it is coming out to be concentration at x equal to 1. Character remains same, only the left and right movement by changing x naught. Because I am telling you, I will take it on the iteration. X naught is basically our XL, and L will vary from 1 to L. So this graph basically moves from, it again moves from sliding window kind of things. It first between x0, x1, x2, it is something. Then it is x1, x2, x3. It moves like this, 3 points at a time, and it moves left to right. Now, so this is the question is, after deriving algorithm, how to write it, how to code it. So just take an example. This is a linear equation, d2u by dx square equal to x du by dx plus u plus dx, and where ux is basically this is the exact solution, and you just put the value of u in this equation, you can find g. So I have not written g. Calculation of g is quite easy. When we apply this algorithm, and with of course boundary and boundary data are also obtained from ux, I have evaluated it on the interval -4 to 4. Here you see in the graph -4 to 4. The exact solution is denoted by the red color graph, and this star is basically denoted by the graph obtained from the approximate solution. I will show you the Python code, then you will see. So this is, I should not, so it is almost overlapping. It is overlapped basically. I took probably the number of points is 40. I will check. I will see it in the Python code. So this is the when we apply algorithm, then we get this result. For non-linear problem, I am considering most revolutionary equation, Burgers equation. This is the I should say the child of Navier-Stokes equation. In the stationary form, it is 1 by RE d2u by dx square equal to u minus lambda du by dx. This is non-linear because u and u derivative are multiplied each other. So it is coming out to be non-linear, and RE is basically Reynolds number. And I'm telling you, this probably you are familiar with the character of turbulence. This is due to the high value of Reynolds number. So the big challenge is how large Reynolds number you are taking so that your algorithm should work. This is a big challenge. And this is basically also in terms of singular perturbation problem. That is again a very interesting area. So here, please see this equation. I can write d2u by dx square. I just take Reynolds number to the right hand side, and okay, probably I have not written here f1, f2. Okay, so exactly here, basically here you take RE to the right hand side. Exactly on the same line you write f1 bar, f2 bar, u naught cap remains same, and f naught cap. You will get the scheme, but the only thing is here the way you calculated coefficient of u naught in the previous example, in the non-linear in the linear example, here you cannot find coefficient of u naught. Here you cannot find coefficient of u1 because this is a non-linear equation. So what you have to do? You have to use Newton-Raphson method. So Newton-Raphson method, there are two ways to do it. Either you go for the Newton-Raphson method, is what saying yk plus 1 equal to yk minus del f by del y kind of things. Or the other way is you cannot find coefficient of u naught, but you can find partial derivative of this whole scheme with respect to u naught. Partial derivative of whole scheme with u1, partial derivative of whole scheme with u2. So partial derivative with u naught will give you diagonal. Partial derivative with respect to u1 is the upper point, that will give you sup diagonal. And partial derivative with respect to u2 will give you the subdiagonal. And then apply Newton-Raphson method. Nothing to do exactly on the same. I will explain these things in the code. You can have. So far I have explained how to find linear and non-linear algorithm using high resolution radial basis function. Now the big challenge is, well, I have derived a method, but is it correct? So we have to check whether this is correct or not. This correction, checking whether this is right or wrong, is done by the help of some interesting theory that is called consistency, stability, and convergence. So these are the following criteria, very crucial in case of numerical algorithm. Consistency stands for the discretization of OD or PD should become exact as the mesh size tends to 0. As the mesh size tends to 0. I told you, in the very beginning, I told you the what will happen when you take limit c goes to 0, or what will happen when you take h goes to 0. So these kind of things we have to analyze with some mathematical property, whether these relations are correct or not. Consistency simply stands for the truncation error should go to 0 when mesh step size is very, very small. In our case, I have written order h6. So of course, when you take h goes to 0, that order h6 goes to 0. So that is consistent, not a big deal. So consistency is not an issue. Stability stands for numerical error which are generated during the solution of discretized equations should not magnify it. And convergence is basically solution should approach the exact solution of the OD or PD and converge if the mesh size is approaching very, very close to 0. Now, in case of elliptic problem, whether ordinary differential equation or elliptic equation, you can establish convergence theory. Convergence is stronger. In case of parabolic equation, proving convergence is difficult. So in case of parabolic, we are basically proving stability. Consistency is done in all the cases, very easy. But if it is possible to prove the convergence, must do it. If it is not possible, then consistency and stability will help you up to the maximum extent. Up to the maximum extent, I am telling. Now, consistency, this is what I told you, the local truncation error is order h6. So limit h goes to 0, LT is 0. So it is consistent, not a big deal. Convergence. Now, this part is little bit cumbersome, but very easy if you try to understand, not difficult. So I have basically this second order nonlinear equation, convergence of nonlinear equation. Convergence of nonlinear equation. I have this second order nonlinear equation along with boundary values. I am going to denote uppercase U as the exact solution value, and lowercase u will denote the approximate solution value. The solution, the numerical value that we obtain from the scheme will give you the approximate solution. But the solution that the main differential equation itself give you, that is the exact solution, right? So that solution I am denoting it by UL, and here it is lowercase ul. There must be some difference between uppercase u and lowercase u. I have denoted it by epsilon L. This is basically the point-wise error. You can put mod here. It is one dimension. You can put mod of uppercase ul minus lowercase ul. So this is what I have written, solution error at the grid point XL. But because I have so many points, x1, x2, XL, I can formulate a vector epsilon, lowercase bar stands for this as a vector kind of things, epsilon 1, epsilon 2, epsilon L, right? Here epsilon 0 and epsilon L plus 1 is 0. Why? Because the value of u at initial point and end point is exactly known to us. So these two values are 0. So we are concerned with epsilon 1 up to epsilon L. I'm going to do mostly things in the vector matrix notation, so it is easy to understand. Now, we can write the given differential equation at the point XL as XL double derivative double prime equal to function of XL UL minus UL prime. And I am just going to denote this by uppercase FL. Uppercase F means functional value with the exact value. Now, when you expand, you will get basically equation in terms of UL minus 1, UL plus 1. That is some function. I have denoted that some function by phi L. Phi L stands for this. And in our case, this phi L is coming out to be this. This is what your scheme actually. And of course, this is exact. Uppercase U is exact. So it definitely appear with order H6. As I derived earlier. Now, when you when you move this lowercase I from 1 to L, you will basically get so many uppercase L number of equation. So we can write this equation 28 with this value 29 in the matrix vector form like this. Phi u plus h equal to 0. All are vector form. What is this uppercase H and this phi and this u? This phi is basically phi 1, phi 2, phi. Here it is uppercase L. Please, page 41. Yeah, here it is uppercase L. Please correct it. Here this is uppercase L. Again, u is basically u1, u2, ul, and h is maybe different terms, but I have jointly written in order H6, order H6, order H6. Now, this equation basically is giving the exact solution. That is what uppercase. But what I will calculate, we will calculate lowercase u. That is, we will calculate approximate solution. So in approximate solution, the h term, the truncation term will not be there. So this is what? Phi of lowercase u equal to 0. So this is what I am writing. We aim to determine the approximation u, lowercase u, of what? The exact value uppercase u by solving this system. This system 31, equation 31 is the equation which we are going to apply in algorithm, for which we are writing code. And the previous equation 31 is the exact solution which either known to us or in many nonlinear cases not known to us. So nothing to do. From this equation 30 and equation 31, just make a subtraction. You will get this phi of lowercase u minus phi of uppercase u is coming out to be h. Now, I have written epsilon. What is this epsilon prime? That is derivative of, this is just a notation. Again, I am telling you. The way it is on the same line of pattern, because our epsilon L is ul minus uppercase ul. On the same line, I will denote. This is just our notation. I will denote epsilon bar prime at L is ul bar prime minus uppercase ul bar prime. Similarly at L plus 1, similarly at L minus 1. This is inconsistent with the notation what we have used earlier. We get this, as this equation. This A00, A01, A02 is exactly same thing what you have derived the weight from radial basis function. So I can have this matrix for epsilon prime.
இது வந்து B2B க்காக ஒரு இது.
And we can define further f
Wait,
n
this
plus
is a startup probiotic.
You would like to say anything? Yeah, FL plus minus 1 bar, I have written jointly here. XL plus 1, UL plus 1, and UL plus 1. Actually, this is here it is, there is a mistake here. It is again lowercase u. I will rectify this slide and then we'll send once again. So this equation 34. Yeah. This I am going to denote it by, this is again, there is a mistake. This is uppercase F bar. This is uppercase F bar. Now use this value. This is basically the algorithm what I am writing. Algorithm what I have obtained. Now find the difference of u cap prime minus u cap uppercase u cap prime. Just denote these difference with epsilon L cap prime. Now you are having two functions, lowercase f and uppercase f. Uppercase f is on uppercase u and lowercase f is on lowercase u. Just say that their difference is some quantity which I have denoted by p. So L plus minus 1 is by PL plus 1, and at L it is PL cap. Now the question is, find the difference between these two. Calculation of this is again by the help of multi-dimensional Taylor series. Nothing to do. You have a function. It is, you just take it as you have a function f of x plus h comma y plus k comma z plus L, close the bracket, find the Taylor expansion. So this, because f consists of three quantities, so that is why when you apply, you will get this one. Again, there is a mistake here. This is rho L plus 1. Here it is rho L plus 1. So it is, again, this is rho L plus 1. Well, so here it is, this is rho L is nothing but del f by del u bar, del u prime, and sigma L is del f by del u at x equal to xl. So this is obtained by the series expansion. Now you incorporate it in this formula. This formula is nothing but your scheme at u, uppercase u, and your scheme at lowercase u. When you subtract here, this will directly come up with epsilon, no problem. But this will also come up with epsilon, because uppercase u minus lowercase u, you will have problem in this part, because this is a non-linear term. Remaining terms are linear, so that can be directly obtained. This is a non-linear term, so you put the value you have obtained here. Put this value. Now you can write this equation again in the matrix form, phi of u minus phi of uppercase u equal to m epsilon. This m is nothing but the tridiagonal matrix, exactly on the same line of pattern what we derived for the linear problem. Now this becomes linear. Error equation is linear. I have linearized the error equation by expanding it to the series expansion. So, and in fact, this tridiagonal matrix has so many values, so many higher order terms, but I am interested with only those terms which involves the least value of h, because ultimately in the last I am going to take h is going to 0. So here it is, sub L is this, DZL is 2 plus order h square, and sup L is this. In this matrix, M has this character. Now from this equation, equation 40 and this equation, here phi lowercase u minus phi uppercase u is h. Here phi lowercase u minus phi uppercase u is m epsilon. So m epsilon is equal to h. M epsilon is equal to h, where you see in the limiting case, sub-diagonal has value -1, not equal to 0. Diagonal has again non-zero in the limiting case, and sup is also non-zero in case of h goes to 0. So if all these three things are non-zero, the matrix represented by graph M is strongly connected. And if the graph is strongly connected, the matrix is irreducible. Again, if I denote R, L as the row element sum of the matrix M, then you can write R1 is DZ plus soup 1, RL is, this is the middle one, and RL is the last one. You will get R1, RL, and R uppercase L as this quantity. Please note that R1 corresponds to the first diagonal. Here I can say for sufficiently a small value of H, here R1 is not equal to 0 if H is going to 0. Again, RL is not going to 0 if H is going to 0. So the matrix row element sums are positive corresponding to off diagonal element. This is corresponding to off diagonal. This is corresponding to off diagonal. And this is corresponding to principal diagonal. So if row element sums are positive corresponding to off diagonal elements, then the matrix is monotone. This matrix is monotone. Now I have both the property. The matrix is monotone and matrix is irreducible. If a matrix has both these properties, we will have invertible matrix. Please note that this I have obtained for the general case F, not depending on linear or a non-linear or some particular problem. So the matrix is invertible, and not only invertible, each entry of this matrix is positive. This is the property. This is the result from linear algebra I took directly. Now, the matrix is invertible, so there must be some element. I have denoted here. Oh, sorry, this is M. Here it is, Q is basically M inverse. Q is equal to M inverse. And each matrix Q is basically denoted by entries of matrix Q is denoted by Qij. I am going to define norm infinity as maximum norm, and the norm of H is also maximum of maximum norm. So it is ultimately coming out to be order H6. The question is, I have to calculate this norm. Now, from the simple mathematics, it is easy to see that this relation is true, where Rj is row element sum and Qij is each entry of the matrix. Then this relation is equal to 1. Sigma j is going from 1 to L, Qij Rj equal to 1. So with this interesting result, I can find bounds on the element Qij, and this is done by this way. Qij, this is for in case of 1. Here it is j is 1. Here j is 1. Here j is 1. In case of j ranging from 0 to 2 to L minus 1, it is coming out to be this. And in case of last QIL, it is coming out to be 1 by RL. These three relations can be directly obtained from this. You can straight away verify this relation, take a 3 by 3 matrix, and you see whether this is correct or not. This is in general true. Now, with these bounds, I can simply apply norm. Epsilon infinity is nothing but norm of M inverse into norm of H. Norm of M inverse is nothing but this quantity, and this quantity is coming out to be 1 by sigma L H4 plus H6. I can write the right hand side is possible only when sigma is not equal to 0. Sigma L is not equal to 0. Beware of it. What is the sigma? Sigma basically corresponds to del F by del U. So if I take del F by del U to be exactly greater than 0, in that case, it is automatically not equal to 0. So in that case, our method is convergent. Now the question is, why you are saying I have taken del F by del U is greater than 0? Now, come to the existence and uniqueness result for the second order nonlinear equation, the basic theory at master's level we have all learned. This is the existence and uniqueness result. For the nonlinear equation, this, if the function f is continuous in this domain, omega, and it satisfies Lipschitz condition, in first component, u and u star, here what I have written, and in the second component, if it satisfies Lipschitz condition, along with these conditions, del f by del u greater than 0, then it has a unique solution. So this is exactly matches with what we have derived. This is all about the convergence of the method. Tomorrow I will discuss the next time, and these are the some 3 questions as an assignment. I will add some more questions as suggested by Harindri madam, and then I will send it to you. Next time I will discuss this algorithmic part.